Welcome back into the Pirate Football Playback. Sorry about those technical difficulties. As Axel says here on YouTube, he said false start, not enough players on the line of scrimmage. Yes, Axel, only 6 men on the line. And James Cutler said, "Ha ha, yep." Apparently, so appreciate you guys still tuned in. Let us know your thoughts on the Pirates' heartbreaking 21-19 loss on Saturday night to App State, and kind of diving back into things, guys. uh, a point that I wanted to make, expanding on what Matt was saying regarding scripting here just a few minutes ago. Like Matt said, and it serves multiple purposes. Obviously, is to see if what you saw on film is going to be, in fact, how they're going to defend those same looks, and with what you had seen on film, and this is certainly even more true as the season goes on and tendencies grow more and more strong, and where at a certain point, you're not going to see, but so much change, and as a result, you can really have a set of plays that you feel really good about and execute very very efficiently, and seems as though the Pirates did that in each half. But kind of moving from the offensive side to the defensive side, the Pirates defensively, were excellent against the run. However, Joey Aguilar had a record-breaking day with 424 through the air.
Yeah, a little bit concerning there with the pass D, and I know Matt, you had some thoughts on that with IBM.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that there were a few things. I thought defensively we were on the field way too long, first of all, and I thought we started to wear down in the second half. I think that did catch up with us at some point. I think that very good against the run. They didn't hurt us at all. Like in previous years, we talked about a lot this week. The outside stretch zone was not even a factor. Wasn't even a factor. Tremendous job stopping the run. I think where we got into trouble last night, guys, is Blake loves to dial up pressure and he's excellent at that. But last night we just struggled to get home. So when we would blitz, we were having a hard time getting to the quarterback. And when that happens, you're leaving your DBs on an island,
Yep.
and Aguilar he'll pick you apart. I mean, he's a good quarterback, and App is just so well coached, and they don't beat themselves. That's a team that just they're not going to beat themselves. They might make a mistake here and there, but eventually they're gonna correct those things. And unlike what I see from ECU oftentimes, and I think that led to big problems. Now I do think that sometimes we give a little too much cushion to the field when the ball is on the hash. I feel like sometimes our field corner, and I don't know if that's just how he likes to play it or if that's strategically, gives up a pretty large cushion, so it can lead to some pretty easy throws, out routes to the wide side of the field. So, that's something I think we'll take a look at on film this week. But listen, I think defensively, guys, these guys, they played their ass off. They kept us in the game against a really good team when a lot was going against them. I have no issues with, even though we gave up a lot of yards
Yep.
defensively, I have no issues whatsoever with the defense. I think they did everything they could to win us the game. This one goes back to offense completely.
Yeah, offensive special teams. I agree with you. Despite the passing yards, defense held them to 21 points, and you can't ask for much more than that against App State. Particularly at home, we had every opportunity to win the football game, didn't take advantage of it. And there's nothing wrong with bend but don't break. I've never had a problem with that approach to defense. We play really well in the red zone. We played really well in the red zone defensively last night. Anytime they got it around the 50, we really started clamping down. So despite the passing yards, defense played well. Special teams is something that was bragged about quite a bit going into the season, and the return games have looked good. Luke Larson's having his best year punting the ball. Kickoffs are good, but man, Conrad is very inconsistent. Two missed PATs already this year. Misses short field goals, but then turns around and has banged a couple of long ones.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
so very inconsistent from Conrad.
yeah, the 36 yarder that he pulled yesterday going toward the boneyard. And then, like you said, I mean, hit a 50-yarder against Old Dominion, hit a 48-yarder early on yesterday, and then had a bounce back after missing the 36-yarder and hit a 43-yarder to pull us within two there early in the fourth quarter going toward the Murphy Center. So, and what a frustrating sequence that was. You're going to go for it there on 4th and 3, and I love that call. Even with so much time remaining, just the way the flow of the game was in full agreement and support of that decision. And but once we had I went back and watched it. Our I believe it was our right guard flinched, and but it was undoubtedly the right call. And once it was 4th and 8, it was certainly the right decision to kick it. And but after that, we just didn't wasn't able to execute consistently on offense, and you ended up having the pick there with a little over 4 minutes to go in the game. You had a Winston Wright went in motion. You had a cross country route, uh, as it's typically called, and as we were discussing earlier, you had the safety for App in the middle of the field that was taking the post, which I believe was Anthony Smith, and then you actually may have been Yannick Smith, the true freshman from South Carolina, but nonetheless, the corner was able to come off and make a nice play. And Winston Wright had no clue that he was there. And then I can see, for a relatively inexperienced quarterback, how that play happened.
Yeah, no, because it looked like it was open from the stands.
Yeah, yeah.
I
If you,
I want to go back to that 4th and 3. Were we trying to remember? And you'll know where I'm going with this. Were we going towards the boneyard there? I cannot. It was the other end, wasn't it?
the 4th and 3, where we had the false start, we were going
Correct.
toward the Murphy Center. That was
Okay.
early fourth quarter.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. But still, I think I do wonder this. The crowd was extremely loud and on that play. I talked to y'all about that last night. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we were flashing, make some noise on
You
the
make some noise.
scoreboard.
Yeah,
What in the world?
yeah. Somebody needs to tell whoever's in charge of that. You don't do that when we're on offense. And Pirate fans, I don't think anybody watching this podcast would not know this, but please let your fellow fans know to shut the hell up in those situations. You get loud on defense, not offense. And I don't know if that's what caused him to jump, but if he couldn't hear the cadence, that may have been what done it, and that should not be an issue at home. Um, that was a little irritating in that situation. Who knows if we'd have converted on 4th and 3, but I'm like you, Bubba. I was perfectly fine with him going for it there. Not just because of the aggression, but if we didn't get it, as long as we turned the ball over, big deal. Let them drop the ball from where were we at on the field there?
That was prior to the false start. We were on the at 20-yard line, and
Yeah,
there was 12:44 remaining in the game.
exactly. So I felt pretty good about the defense getting a stop if we didn't pick it up. So I love the call in which we didn't get the false start, and uh, who knows what would have happened. There's so many missed opportunities in this game.
Yeah, in some ways, guys, like last night, what happened yesterday's game is kind of like a microcosm of the Mike Houston era, and um, when you really look at it, right? And look, players have to make plays, and we saw a lot of mistakes last night, offensively and in the kicking game and whatnot, penalties. But that's kind of a microcosm of what we've seen now for like the last 6 years, where you're moving the ball down the field and boom, you get a bad penalty, right? Or you make a costly mistake, a fumble. Like it just seems to happen way too often,
Yeah.
with this program. And I'm not here to like bang on Mike Houston and but at some point, like you gotta the buck stops with you as a head coach.
Yep.
And when these things continue to happen consistently, almost every week now. I mean, last year there were 2 or 3 games at least that we could have and probably should have won that we just didn't because of just, again, like stupid mistakes. And like, you know, you go back, like, all right, so here's an example, right? 2 weeks in a row, we've missed an extra point. That can't happen at this level, high Division 1 football. You can't miss extra points. You think Alabama's missing extra points? You know, you think Michigan's missing extra points? Look, and I'm not saying we're Alabama, but we do play Division 1 football, and it just can't happen. It can't happen. So, look, if Conrad can't make an extra point, we got to find a kicker that can. And I'm not trying to be like ruthless, but at some point here, you can sense the frustration within the fan base, and we can't continue to make these mistakes. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to jump, to false start on a 4th and 3 with a chance to impact the game.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with all that. Go ahead, Bubba.
Oh, just while we're on the topic of extra points, just a little bit of I don't know, just something to laugh about. I think you guys saw this. Shared it with you. The PAT by Tulane yesterday against Oklahoma. Did y'all see that? They missed a PAT after one of their touchdowns, and it was so low. I mean, it was right down the middle, but it was below the crossbar, and it nearly took off the head of number 11 of Oklahoma. And then some media member or marketing person or whatnot behind the goalpost and nearly hit the girl in the face. It was unbelievable.
Did you see and we'll get back to our game. Did you see the fake fair catch return for a touchdown in the North Texas game yesterday?
I did not. I knew North Texas got blown out by Texas Tech, which surprised me a bit.
Yeah, but in the process of the game, North Texas did fake a fair catch on a punt. They didn't. I really have to go back and watch the plays. I mean, you can't signal a fair catch. You can't. If you move your hand a certain way, it's a fair catch. So I don't know if he just acted like it and the guy fell for it, but he fakes a fair catch. He never signals for one. Stands there. Everybody stops and he takes off running down the sideline for a touchdown.
That's not the first time they've done that. I'm pretty sure it was North Texas. I'll research this
Well,
on
maybe I was
YouTube.
watching an old clip and just thinking it was from
On
yesterday's
YouTube,
game.
North Texas did that successfully at Arkansas here in the last several years.
Okay, maybe that was actually the clip that came up on TikTok, and I was just assuming it was from yesterday's game. But nonetheless, but back to our game, and you guys talk about making mistakes in the kicking game and making mistakes on false starts, and the fan base's frustration. One thing the fan base is frustrated about is Houston's record against in-state opponents. We haven't. He's 0-2 against NC State. He's 0-3 against Appalachian State. He's 0-1 against Charlotte. He has not beaten an FBS opponent from the state of North Carolina. And Igo made a good point yesterday. Um, had this not been Appalachian State, let's say this was Liberty, and we had lost to Liberty by 2 points, or pick a good Group of Five program or a mid-tier Power Five program, and we lost that game yesterday by 2 points, and it wasn't App State, it was BYU, for example. Um, I think our fan base would have been taking it hard because we had a game one, it seemed like early, and then blew it, but not as hard as we are because it's App State. I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think another thing people are a little worried about is how good is App. App looked horrible against Clemson, but Clemson was pissed off and had a lot to prove. And Clemson, I think, is going to play Miami for the ACC title. I think App is probably a pretty good football team, Matt. I think you said you did too. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how we bounce back against Liberty. Liberty has only lost to one team over the last year in 3 games, and that was to Oregon. I think it's a tall task going into Liberty with 7-point dogs. Bubba, you mentioned earlier that you thought from a matchup standpoint, because of the way they play their offense, you think we match up well with them, defense against offense. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, kind of like you talked about as App, as a program that knows how to win, and we're still learning how to win with this group, despite being 2-0 until yesterday. I think that's going to be very difficult to pull off the upset on the road in Lynchburg. Even though I do think Liberty is beatable, they have not impressed me this year. Um, But I think it's going to be tough to pull that off. I know we're still recapping App State. Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, and we'll circle back to that regarding Liberty and some of those comments that I shared with you guys this morning about what Liberty does, under that staff, and how they play offense versus how App plays offense. But as far as this game, you know, the Pirates, as we mentioned in the open, just ran 58 plays and had 44 through three quarters. App, on the other hand, 83 plays, allowing the Mountaineers to have a commanding 39-21 edge in time of possession. And if you're scoring, that's one thing, but then when you're having empty possessions and then a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes later, giving the ball back to the other team, then it's certainly a problem. And it was yesterday. And I went back and watched the second half this afternoon. I was able to somehow stomach it enough to at least get another look at what happened with the TV angles and replay. And Rini and Golia and Mike Corey were on the call, and Rini was just talking about how his pregame conversations with Sean Clark, App State head coach, that they were executing their game plan just as they wanted to. You notice how App is not always a team that huddles. They what times go no huddle, or maybe even up tempo, but mainly just no huddle. But yesterday they were huddling and really draining that play clock and playing keep away from the Pirates.
Yeah. Now, what do you do about that? Kind of exposes us a little bit. So, not all teams are going to have the ability to do that. But what do you do to counteract that when you see teams doing it going forward? Now that App's done it, I guess what you're going to have to do is take advantage of your offensive possessions to score.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it was Rennie or his colleague there on ESPN Plus yesterday, and we've talked about this on the show. When you run an offense like we do, like up tempo, where you're trying to run like 3 plays a minute, when you have a 3 and out, it's the worst thing in the world for your defense, because you literally are off the field in 1 minute and now your defense is back out there, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. When you run this type of system, you can't have 3 and outs. You have to move the chains. Even if you just get 1 first down, you give your defense a chance to rest a little bit. Now, we did have plenty of 3 and outs yesterday. But the big thing is, like, we have got to find a way offensively to find some rhythm and get the ball to our playmakers. And I think a lot of my frustration today is when I look at that box score again, and I'm going to go back to this a lot tonight, because I just don't know what sometimes our staff is looking at. When you have a guy like Winston Wright and you give him 3 touches in a game, unbelievable to me. Casey Kelly is a weapon. Get
Yep.
him the ball. It's really not, let's not complicate things. Get him the ball. Get your playmakers the ball. And I think sometimes we just, complicate things more than they need to. So I think that's the big thing. But we have got to find some rhythm, and we've got to find a way to score points. It's not good enough to go 20-20 and then turn it over or have penalties. And so that's my big thing. And
How much of that not getting the ball in the playmaker's hand goes on JDB? How much of it goes on Garcia?
I think that's got to go back to John Baker. He that's his job. That's his job. He is the offensive coordinator, and it comes down to the assistant coaches too. And at halftime, you get together as a staff, and you're talking about, hey, what can we do differently? We got to get the ball in our best players' hands.
Yeah.
And so that's what really disturbing to me, guys, that didn't happen. So that it's hard to figure out. It really is. It's hard to figure out at this level. And I know, like, you don't want him to get him 20 touches a game. You don't want to get him injured. I get all that. But, like, I'm getting the ball to a guy like Winston Wright 10 times a game easily. every single game without question. And I'm going to feature Casey Kelly. That dude can play. He can catch. He can run. He's big. He's physical. Like, listen, Bubba, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I don't want to beat this to death, but it's too obvious to me.
Yeah, and another thing, and going back to I guess what was our final possession, there when we threw the pick. I was able to stomach that enough to rewatch it, and we talked about what happened there, from a coverage standpoint, and how those deep routes were covered. I believe it was Javius Bond that was the running back in the game at that point, and he was the check down, right in the middle of the field, and he was wide open.
Oh
I mean,
God.
yeah, it made me sick to see how wide open he was, and that was first down. In that situation, it's 21-19, and sure you could hit a big play, and App has given up plenty of big plays, but yesterday, outside of the third play of the game, they had not. And if you're being patient and going through, and this is all easier said than done, because I've certainly been there and I've thrown bad picks, and you know and it's easy to see how it unfolded the way it did. But that's one of those things that, as you get more experience as a quarterback, and you saw this with Holton as well as other Pirate quarterbacks down through the years, you have that patience. You realize it's just first down. It's not a do or die situation, and it's okay to check it down. And odds are we'd have picked up a first down with what I saw, but at the very least, you'd have had 2nd and 2 or something of that effect. But I like Javius Bond's chances, and if he makes the catch, one on one with the linebacker there, trying to come up and make that tackle in the open field.
Another thing you're talking about, getting the ball in the playmaker's hand.
Yeah,
Garcia doesn't have to make the big play. He can make the big play by doing the check down to the playmaker. At some point, speaking of patience, our fan base is going to run out of patience with Garcia. Yeah, he's only started 3 games here. He didn't, he started 1 game in Miami. You can see the talent, but when you have a kid like Caden Hauser, who we know started 7 games in the Big Ten against elite competition, no matter what his number were that he put up, the fans want to see him and see, what he can do. I don't think Garcia did anything to lose the starting job this week, but going into Liberty, I'd like to see Hauser. I would probably, you know, plan on playing them both. You don't want to start musical chairs, but I think at some point we have to see what Hauser can do, particularly being, he's known to be more accurate on the underneath stuff. We have playmakers, as you mentioned. Just get the ball in the playmakers' hands and let them make plays.
So Kyle, you mentioned it. Let's kind of jump into that. I'm going to kick it right back to you, Kyle. When you look at the quarterback situation right now, right, we can all see the talent that Garcia has. I mean, he made some very nice throws last night. That opening drive, that the throw to Winston Wright was a dart, great throw. You can see the arm talent, but conversely, we're seeing again, it reared its head last night again, a really bad pick, a costly pick that should have never happened last night in a critical situation. Kyle, any thoughts right now on making a change there? Just tell me like what you're thinking in terms of our quarterback right now.
Like I was just saying, I would start Garcia this week, but I'd get Hauser more reps, and I plan on playing them both against Liberty. I think let's see what Hauser can do. I wouldn't make a change in the starting role, but and again, you go back. Do you want to play musical chairs for quarterback? Well, no, not necessarily, but um, I think it's time we start to see what Hauser can do. I have a feeling this staff is not going to do that. They're going to stick with Garcia. Now, if Garcia goes out and throws 2 or 3 picks early, and we're down 21-0 to Liberty, then that could change. But I think I start Garcia, but I plan on putting Hauser in the game, and tell Garcia Hauser's getting third series or whatever.
yeah, and in the scenario you just described, unless it was a matter of of it being on a deflection, drop, or a ball that was either tipped or deflected off the receiver's hands, or some sort of scenario like that, then you certainly better see a change. But yeah, like you're saying, even if you start Jake, because he did show some progress yesterday, throwing the ball away at times and not forcing it, but then at the same time, then and depending how Caton Hauser's practicing, and if you feel good about things, then do what Coach Logan used to do, which I do think was a good idea for multiple reasons, to give the starter the chance to see a possession from the sideline from a different perspective, and then also get meaningful experience for the backup. And a lot of folks, probably even most, aren't a fan of that. You don't see it a whole lot, but I do think it has its advantages, and especially if there were some struggles early, get Jake out, let him see a series with Caton running the offense, let him see what the defense is doing from the sideline, and then depending on how things go, get Jake back in the game.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's what I was saying. You mentioned Logan used to do it. I remember with Garrard and Richard Alston a lot. But hey, at some point, knowing Hauser is on that bench, fans are going to want to see him unless Garcia just goes and lights it up against Liberty or the following week against UTSA. But the fan base, if you go over to Hoist Colors, IGO site, I haven't even really checked Bonnier Banner, but I'm sure it's the same way. That the fan base is very aggravated, to say the least, downright pissed. A lot of people are calling for Houston's head. Well, I think it's too early for that this season. We did that a lot last season. We're 2-1. We lost one game by 2 points to App State. I'm not going to call for Houston's head just yet. But a lot of fans are. A lot of fans are also aggravated with the direction of the athletic program in general. There's a lot of heat right now towards John Gilbert on the message boards, on Hoist the Colors, etc. There's a lot of people frustrated, and I don't know. Besides winning, what's going to cure that? I think fans have a right to be frustrated with the head coach and with the AD. At some point, and I will be critical. And this is coming from me, an independent voice, Kyle Barber. This is not the voice or opinion of anybody else from the Sports Objective, Dave Richmond, Bubba Rosenbaum, or Matt Zeman. This is all coming from Kyle from LaGrange only. That, what has John Gilbert done? What has he accomplished since he's been here? I really want somebody to point it out. What has he done of any significance since he's been here? I can't point to it. He says things consistently that just rake on my nerves, and I know the nerves of a lot of other people, like referring to East Carolina as a program like us or a school like us. Well, what does that mean, a school like us, a program like us? East Carolina fans have always viewed ourselves the same way North Carolina and North Carolina State view them. We view ourselves as a high-level Division I football team. We don't buy into this group of five bull crap, and it's been shoved down our throats. And the current administration believes we're a school like that or a school like us. Well, the standard should be to dominate this conference. The standard should be to sell that stadium out. It shouldn't be, well, a 47,000 seat, a 40,000, a crowd of 47,000 people is really good for a school like us. What the hell does that mean? That kind of attitude has to stop immediately.
Yeah. I think so much losing over the years has changed the standards for certain people. Certainly not us on this show or anybody that listens in. I mean, you see the passion there, and our standards need to remain the same. We have a lot to offer here at East Carolina, and we should be winning more football games. We have enough. Like Monica just made a comment, and she mentions the talent that we have. If you guys want to throw, and Monica mentions a good point. We have enough talent on this team where we should have won that game last night. Think about it from that perspective.
Yeah,
Do we have enough talent to win that game at home last night with a 16-point lead? Absolutely, we do. This team has talent. We have some deficiencies, no doubt. Every team
everybody
does.
does at this level at a school
Yep.
like us.
But I think that we beat ourselves, and it just has to stop. It just has to stop. I don't know. I don't know what what else I can say. I just felt like that was a winnable game added to the list. Out of the last 20 games we've seen. Just to go back, let's go back to the NC State game we all talk about, right, with the missed field goals. Let's go back to that South Carolina game a few years ago. Let's go back to some games last year: Navy, Tulane, Tulsa. I think Tulsa too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's just starting. The list is adding up now of games that you should win, and we're just not winning.
yeah. Is it a lack of belief? That was never a problem here before. We believe. Is it a lack of belief, in themselves? I don't know, but at some point you got to turn the corner. Look, going up to Lynchburg, Virginia against Liberty is a tall task. We play well and lose that one, it'll be what it'll be, 2-2. But as UTSA, look, we got two Bubbas and no Matt. As UTSA comes in here in a couple weeks and we open up conference play, um, to me that's becoming a must-win. UTSA has struggled this year. They played two pretty good football or really good football teams with Texas and Texas State. Week one, Kennesaw State, they struggled with them, barely beat them. Um, like I say, we got Liberty first, but as we go down the schedule, we need to be 4-2 after we get past Liberty. Let's assume we don't pull the upset. I'm not saying we won't, but let's just assume we don't. We we
I mean,
look
after we get past Charlotte.
like yes, after UTSA and Charlotte, we need to be 4-2 minimum. Assuming we don't pull the upset against, did I say upset? Assuming we don't pull the upset against Liberty. After UTSA and Charlotte, we need to be 4-2. And look, something I pointed out earlier today, and I needs to be said here on the podcast. The last time we beat an FBS opponent in Greenville, North Carolina, was October 22nd, 2022, against UCF. We have not beaten an FBS opponent at home since October 22nd, 2022. It has been almost 2 calendar years since we beat an FBS opponent at home. So I think that UTSA game in 2 weeks is a must win.
Yeah, I certainly tend to agree. For the reasons you mentioned, and William Landon chiming in. Appreciate you, William. He said the game was ours for the taking, just did not make enough plays in the second half. Extremely frustrating, but need to put this one behind us and not let it beat us 2 weeks in a row. And William, I agree. That's obviously what you hope to do anytime, but at the same instance, what I think is, I think with our fan base, just the frustration is built so much, you know, especially when you lose, like we've already discussed, to an in-state opponent once again, in heartbreaking fashion, where it looked like you were going to pick up that win. That is, it's just people are so tired of, even though it's a new team, they're thinking same old, because you did see a lot of those same type of things, costly penalty or two, turnover, missed PAT, missed kind of a chip shot field goal. And I do think that, if we can figure some things out offensively and execute with more consistency, there's certainly the potential there for a very solid season. And, we'll see how we put it all together offensively, because I think our defense will keep us in pretty much every game. And if we can do what we need to do on the offensive side, that I like our chances of winning at 8+ games.
I like our chances to win 7. I don't know about 8 at this point. Get back to me. Um, you talk about getting over this one, not letting this one beat us twice. I think the fan base is going to complain about it all week, but Liberty, with what they did last year, the players should be able to turn the page in a hurry, and move on to the Flames. That's the game. If you find a way to upset Liberty up in Lynchburg next weekend, that'll get the taste of this App State game out your mouth in a hurry.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, definitely get that taste out, for the time being. And, you knew this was going to be a tough stretch in the season here. And, I think losing to App State for me it's not so much losing to App State. It's just the way we kind of gave a game away.
Yeah,
We kind of gave it away. Like App State's an excellent program. Like they're disciplined. They have more discipline as a team. They're very well coached, and that stuff won out yesterday. So I'll give App State credit. We definitely helped them with that win a lot, to say the least. But in terms of Liberty, I really haven't been overly impressed with what I've seen from them this year. They don't look nearly as explosive as they did last year. They'll be a tough football team, and I think that the odds makers got it right, putting Liberty as a 7-point favorite, even though I think it's a little high. I thought it would be like, 4 or 5, but either way, bottom line is this: until East Carolina shows that we can win these games, and we haven't done that, then this is where we belong. We belong as a 7-point dog in Lynchburg. And, it's like Coach Prime says, this is the show me state. And I'm kind of tired of like reading magazines and speculating on wins and all that stuff. Like, it's time to show it. It's time to win games on the field. And another opportunity this week.
well, Liberty went 13-1 last year, and they're 3-0 so far this year, despite not looking very impressive against New Mexico State or UTEP. They're still 3-0 and 13-1 last year, which means they've won 16 out of their last 17 games, and we've won 4 out of our last uh, 15 games. So 16 games, whatever. We won 2 last year. We won 2 so far this year. So I think going to Lynchburg beat Liberty is a tall task. Is it doable? Yeah. If we do it, it'll be a huge win. But what I want to see is improvement this week, a very competitive ball game, and then let's get back here and beat UTSA's ass. Beating Liberty to me would be a bonus at this point. That's why I say this would be the week to try Hauser. I wouldn't bench Garcia, but to me, this is the week to try to get Caden Hauser in to see if he needs to be your quarterback as we get into conference play. Because, look, to be quite honest with you, with the defense we have, we don't play Tulane, Memphis, or South Florida, 3 best teams in this league. We don't play the 3 of them, with apologies to Army, who's looked pretty good so far. So if we can figure out something on offense, if we can get on a roll, I think we could sneak our way into the conference championship game. And I know there's out there people laughing at that, but when you don't play the 3 best teams in the league, you're going to have that opportunity. So that's why I say this is the game against Liberty where I would plan on playing both quarterbacks. I would start Garcia, but I'd plan on playing Hauser just to see, is that the direction we need to go in as we get into conference play.
I wholeheartedly agree. That's an excellent point. We've proven, and if everything is good with Caden Hauser from a health standpoint, because you know, you know, it was reported that he was battling a wrist injury. But if everything's good with Caden from that health angle, then yes, we need to see it. In my opinion, I mean, we've proven that we're not. Jake's clearly not been on a short leash, but it's in his job is, and Coach Houston's job is obviously to do what's in the best interest of the team. And if Caton's healthy and the situation dictates it, then yeah, let's see what he brings to the table, with those ones in a competitive game, not when you're up 42-3 or whatever in the fourth quarter. And let's see how he executes on a possession or two.
Yeah, and guys, like interestingly enough, we're talking about, there's a lot of questions here and points about Mike Houston and whatnot. And like, I actually think that this past year was his best recruiting class he's ever had. I think he brought in a lot of talent in this class. We've mentioned guys like Winston Wright, obviously Garcia and Hauser, but Casey Kelly, right? And these guys, these are impact players that can help us. I think Montgomery is a guy that in time will help us a lot. I was impressed with what I saw from him.
Anthony
Kyle,
Smith.
I know you certainly were. But then you look defensively, and you have a lot of young talent that was on the field yesterday. And I thought it was really unfortunate that Gavin Gibson dropped that pick in the fourth quarter. He had a chance to take that back to the house.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. That would have been the defense saying, "Screw you, Joe Boo. We do it ourselves."
Right. And I thought it was really unfortunate though, because Gavin Gibson, man, that kid is a player. He's played really well this year. He was a great pickup out of Maryland, got him from the portal. He made another nice interception yesterday early in that game, and also tackled really well in space. So he was an excellent pick. I felt terrible for that kid. Played a hell of a game, just couldn't make that one play. But he's a really good player. And then you're seeing young guys on the field like, Riddle played some safety. He almost had a pick yesterday. And KJ Merrill. A lot of good young talent. Jamarly, thank you, Axel. I'm mixing up my names here. But a lot of good young talent. So my point is this. I'm going back to this because we have enough this year where we can beat a team like Liberty. We have enough. The question is, can we get it all together? Can it be coached to the point where we can win games? And it's got to happen. And it's got to start. There's no reason why we can't win this week in Lynchburg. Despite everything we've talked about, this is another one of those 50-50 games. And if you clean some things up, you can win it.
One of the things that App State did very effectively, discussed this briefly earlier, but be it down at the goal line for their first touchdown and the 2-point conversion, or late in the game, utilizing play action passing, and be it to the tight end or otherwise. And then I think, had maybe 5 catches for Big Eli Wilson. One of those was remember, it's at least 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 13. They hit him on a screen. And he acted like he was going to release to the outside, and then that allowed the lineman to get where they needed to be to set up the play. And then he went back to the left, and nice catch and run. And I thought Frank Ponce, the OC for App, called an excellent game. Really like him as an offensive coordinator, just in general, not just yesterday. And as that game wore on, you just really felt like, they were making, as I commented to my dad numerous times during the game and mentioned to you earlier today, Matt, they made several competitive catches. Certainly too many occasions, where we
Yeah, Bubba's audio cut out. Or either I'm froze. Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, brother.
All right, yeah, Matt thought Bubba's audio cut out. So I don't know where Bubba was going with that, but the Frank Ponce is a hell of an offensive coordinator. And one thing I wonder, we hadn't really seen a good quarterback until yesterday. Norfolk State, certainly their quarterback situation is atrocious. Old Dominion's quarterback is, he's acceptable. But yesterday was a whole nother level of quarterback. I would assume that will only help our pass defense going forward, Matt.
Yeah, it certainly should. I mean, that kid, Aguilar, he's a gamer. He's a tough kid. And he's definitely one of the better quarterbacks we're going to see all season. There's no question about it. To Bubba's point, App is so well coached. And the big thing that jumps out to me is, how does App consistently have an offensive line that good? you know, what are they doing in recruiting to be able to get this type of an offensive line? I think that's been the biggest downfall, I think, of our team in the last, decade or so is offensive line play. I really believe that. And, we've got to get back to a point where we're protecting the quarterback and we can move people around up front, And what I saw from App yesterday, again, they had like 4 new starters, I'm pretty sure, on that offensive line, but they were picking up blitzes. They were organized. They were well coached. So,
Same
hey,
system under multiple head coaches, Matt, is what my thought is. We talked about it yesterday. No matter if it's Satterfield or whoever, they keep that same offensive system in place, and I think that has a lot to do with the reason they have such success with the offensive line is because they recruit to a system. They know how to coach guys for that system. They've been running that offensive system for years now at App State, and I think that's why you see that with their O line.
yeah, that's a great point. And that's 100% true what you just said. They have continuity in that program. It passes down from coach to coach. They've had a lot of good coaches, and whatever they're doing is very effective. I mean, I got to give them credit. Bubba, are you back? Can we hear you now?
I am. What was the last thing you guys heard from me?
Frank Ponce, right?
You're talking about how great Frank Potts was as OC.
Yeah, I was just saying. Not only last night did I think he caught a very good game, but just in general, I've liked Frank Potts as an OC. When I saw when he was there 3 years ago, then he went to Miami, and now this is his second year being back after that one season with the Hurricanes as a position coach. But and he realized after just not meshing, with that staff at Miami. He realized that how good he had it in Boone on Sean Clark's staff. But where I was kind of transitioning to was you guys were talking about quarterback play. Joey Aguilar, undoubtedly, one of the best passing quarterbacks we'll see this year, and you could run into Seth Hennigan of Memphis in the championship game, which would be great. As far as obviously being there, it would be a tall task, and we saw firsthand in 2022 in that triple overtime thriller, um, how good Seth Hennigan is. But this week, you're taking on the Liberty Flames, and Salter. And Salter is very talented. He's the quarterback that led the Flames to the Fiesta Bowl a year ago, and he's a Tennessee transfer. He's a dual threat, and he's certainly not the passing quarterback that Joey Aguilar is. But at the same time, he does throw it pretty efficiently. Looking at the numbers, I'll have those in a moment. But yesterday against UTEP, the Flames won 28-10, and it was a little surprising to me they only scored 28 points.
Yeah, no doubt. UTEP hadn't looked very good this year, and they don't look good most years. But they also struggled a little against New Mexico State. I just think I think Liberty is way better than they've looked so far. Now, who knows? Maybe we go up there and shut their asses down and pull off the upset. But I think Liberty just has not played to their potential yet. You mentioned their quarterback. Their quarterback's very good. Like you said, not the thrower Aguilar is, but extremely mobile. Kind of, what they do is what Coastal used to do, obviously, with the same head coach. They run kind of a spread option. It's the best way I know to describe that offense. Guys, talk about defending that offense that they run compared to a triple option offense. Any similarities and differences?
Go ahead, Matt, and then I'll chime in.
I think Bubba has seen Liberty a lot more than I have. One of the things I did watch some of their game last night. I was just kind of curious. I saw some speed option, just straight speed option with the quarterback who can move a little bit. So it's definitely not like certainly not like your traditional triple option. It's more, a speed option, getting the quarterback out in space and letting him use his feet. That's what I observed anyway, Bubba. I'm going to watch a lot more film on them this week.
Yeah, Caden Salter, as I mentioned, Tennessee transfer uh, through the air, 47 of 71. So, there you see throwing it uh, between 20 and 25 times a game, closer to 25, and 66% completion rate, 726 as far as total yards that he's thrown for, and 3 touchdowns. And he has not thrown a pick thus far in 3 games. Meanwhile, on the ground, he's run it 28 times for a total of 95 yards. Was expecting to see a little bit more yardage there, and he has not run for a touchdown yet. Quentin Cooley, the Flames' top running back, 266 yards on the season, 3 touchdowns, averaging right at 89 yards a game. Cooley, however, did suffer an injury yesterday against UTEP, so I'm trying to see if there's any update on his status. As of yet, from a receiving standpoint, with what they do, they hit a lot of big plays in the passing game. And Trayon Sibley, 14 catches, 341 yards. That's over 24 yards per reception, 1 touchdown. And then Tyson Mobley has 10 catches for 83 yards. And then you also have Elijah. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but Elijah Canian, I believe, 5 catches, 109 yards, nearly 22 yards per reception. So yeah, they don't have guys with a ton of catches, but their top 2 receivers average 22 and 24 and a half per reception. So they make their bread and butter, or their bread and butter is rather, and they make their hay, with that ground attack, and then they hit you over the top and they hit you with big plays in the passing game.
What do they think of Terry Gallagher? Um,
Yeah, exactly. Three catches for an average of 71 per,
yeah,
or whatever it was. I think even more than that. But I don't mean to slight you, Terry.
Bubba, describe that Jeremy Chadwell offense as a speed option offense. How would you, obviously speed option, but how would you describe the Chadwell offense as we saw for years at Coastal?
Yeah, and, having attended all of our games, I haven't seen a ton of film this year yet. But if they're doing exactly the same stuff, that or primarily the same stuff they did with the Chanticleers, from a defensive standpoint, it's certainly going to mean that we have to be very disciplined. And you think about our games with Navy and the other academies down through the years. Well, I guess not the other academies, the other academy, Army, but just the challenges that presents. Some of that, but then you have the quarterback in the shotgun as opposed to under center, and but as far as you saw last year, when there was a quick change up there against Charlotte, they opted to go with the guy that was a better runner, and they had some success running the option against us. So, something that, as we've heard time and again, when you're preparing to defend Navy, and Navy is a little bit different now, but you just have to work it so much because it's something you don't see a ton. So I would not be surprised to if this is something that we've put in a little more preparation for than the other teams will see this year.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys on the defensive line in particular saw this offense in the bowl game in 22 down in Birmingham.
Yeah,
So we do have some familiarity with it. I'm looking forward to see how we play against it on defense. I think we could match up really well against it. The safeties, coming down to play the run are going to have to be careful and not get beat over the top. That's going to be the big thing. But it'll be interesting to see just how we match up defensively against the Flames with their unique offense.
Yeah, I feel very confident, guys. I love our defense. I think we have a very good defense here. I think we can run. I feel like defense will give us an opportunity to win this game. They'll do enough. The question is, can we score? Can we score enough points and not turn the ball over? Do you guys want to start getting to some comments here? We have a ton of comments
Yes,
tonight.
we needed to do that. I promised that as I promoted the show that we would be taking your comments tonight. So yes, we definitely need to do that.
Thanks
Were there any
everybody for chiming in.
specifically that you want? Yeah, we appreciate everyone chiming in via Facebook and YouTube. And Matt, were there any
Let's just roll
specific you
through
wanted
them.
to reference, or just any? Okay.
I mean, I think based on what we were just talking, like Justin Butts mentioned one. I think our defense can hold up against them. Just exactly like I agree with that exactly. Justin posted that at 9:36.
Do we have any questions? Not just comments, but questions.
I did see a question earlier that I thought was really good. I'm scrolling back through, and this is going back. Bear with me 1 second. Here's one from Monica. If we squeak out 7 wins this year and go to some softball game, are you giving Mike Houston a contract extension?
No, but he won't get fired either. He's got, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Bub, I believe 2 years left on his contract after this year, maybe 3. So no, 7 wins. He does not get an extension, but he would not get fired. So I think you just play it as is.
Okay.
Yeah, according to what I'm seeing, Kyle, you are correct. That is through the 2026 season.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
although typically with 2 years left, you extend or fire. If you do give him an extension, if for going 7-5 or maybe 8-5 after a bowl win, I would give him a 1-year extension, so it goes back to 3 years, and there would not be a raise involved. You go 8-4, go win the bowl, go 9-4, then yeah, go ahead and give him a 2-year extension, something like that. But the most 7-5, and then win a bowl game. At the most, you give him a 1-year extension. If not, you just leave it as is.
Guys, here's one from Emmanuel Paul. This is back at 9:08. Good question here. Why not put number 28 on ECU on number 2 app man to man all night? He burned us all night. So he's referring to just basically taking Revel and putting him on app's best receiver and kind of letting him just take that assignment all night. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I heard somebody else mention that also. Matt, I thought it was you last night, actually. So I thought you were going to elaborate on that. We play a lot of man coverage. We played some zone last night. I tend to, if you're going to be that aggressive and blitz, and you're not getting home to the quarterback, you better have your best corner on their best receiver.
Yeah, I think that's where
Matt,
go ahead, Bubba. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, that comment was that was about last night, or that was about moving forward to Liberty?
No, he was referring to last night. That
Okay.
comment.
Well,
Yeah.
my response to that, kind of at least on the surface, is that it wasn't just one guy. It was a team effort. Last night, the app was, you had Mekhi Jackson. He had 85 or 86 yards. So you were 15 yards away from App State having 3 100-yard receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Christian Horn, Mekhi Jackson, and the other kid whose name's escaping me at the moment. That all of them were hurting us.
If you're Liberty and you see how good we are against the run, even though that's typically what you do, and you work it off, you work the play action off that. Do you plan on throwing it even more off the play action than you normally would, seeing the kind of yardage we gave up last night through the passing game?
I think it's really going to depend on it if they can pick up our pressure or not, Kyle. I think certainly like we're more susceptible in that area. Our run defense is fantastic. You would definitely want to attack us more in that area. But for us, I think it just comes down to like if we can get home when we bring pressure, we're going to be in business, and it's going to kind of like, can their O-line pick up that pressure? I think that's going to dictate a lot. What they do.
And how much can you pressure, Bubba? You're more familiar with their offense. How much can you pressure Coastal Liberty with that with that offense they run being, so aside is similar to the triple option where you need to be very disciplined. How much can you pressure?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, like you're saying, at times when you bring pressure, and it's certainly a fine line to walk, because kind of like Matt was just mentioning, as well as some of our viewers, and if you bring pressure and that pressure does not get home, then you're leaving yourself exposed, especially against a pretty veteran quarterback in Salter.
Well, if you
So,
bring
so
pressure and it's a run play out of the option, you're screwed.
it, and so obviously Blake Harrell's defense, a veteran defensive coordinator, and I think I have full confidence in that he'll be, very smart with when we choose to bring any pressure against an offense like this.
Yeah, no doubt. Another comment here, guys. I'm just kind of going through some comments here. I'm not sure if we got this one earlier. Johnny Robertson always bringing some interesting stats. We appreciate that, Johnny. Here's one from 902. The Pirates only averaged 3 yards per play on 13 third down opportunities. So let me just repeat that. We had 13 third down opportunities and only averaged 3 yards per play.
Yeah, that's
That's
bad.
a
That is bad third down efficiency.
yep. You're not gonna win a ton of games with that number. So Johnny always bringing some interesting stats. Let's see what else we got here, guys. We got a Florida question here. I'm gonna mix. This isn't relevant to what we're talking about, but this is from Brandon. I got to throw this in there for the Florida fans. Not an ECU topic. If you all seen the video of Florida fans booing Billy Napier yesterday, yeah, Billy Napier is on his last leg. I have a feeling in Florida. I don't see him surviving much longer in Gainesville. They're fed up, and quite honestly, they should be. I mean, Florida should never be playing this bad with the talent they get. So I don't want to spend too much time on Florida, but wanted to get to that one.
Yeah, they're not just losing; they're losing, and they're not competitive. I mean, they're less competitive now than they've been the last couple years. At least so far, and with
Who's worse, Florida or Florida State?
with their schedule, it's hard to see that changing. Especially what. Yeah, you're blown out against Miami. Lost by about 24 points, and then yesterday. What you have any idea, Matt? What was that final score, like 38-20?
I think that was the final 35.
But it wasn't really that close.
No, it really wasn't. And Billy Napier should be able to roll out of bed in the morning and get 4-star recruits. And I don't know what's going on there, but it seems like he's kind of lost the program a little bit. So I expect a change there very soon. Getting back to here's a comment from Craig Doucette. If you're making the trip to Liberty, the D-Day Memorial is a 30-minute drive in Bedford. The memorial is well done, maybe worth your time. That's a great tip there. Celebrate the honor the troops from the World War II days, the D-Day Memorial. So thanks for that tip, Craig. All right, I think we're caught up, fellas. I just wanted to get some of those comments in.
I appreciate it, Matt, because I had promoted that when I promoted the show that we would be taking your comments live on the air. And so appreciate you doing so. Guys, we got anything else? Do we want to go over any scores? Anything else we want to talk? Oh, I have one thing I want to get to, just on a personal note. Last week, I was complaining about the latches on the bathroom stalls. How half the ones in the men's bathroom not latching if you need to take a poop. That needs to be fixed. And another thing, just so if anybody who doesn't know me, I'm visually impaired. So I sit down on the north side handicap ramp. That's where I sit, watch the game with binoculars. You may have seen me down there. So down there is two seating options. You can sit in purple chairback seats that are bolted into the concrete, or there's black folding chairs. I've been sitting in those black folding chairs for 20 some years. I have lost weight. I am much smaller now than I have been the last couple of years. And the son of a bitch broke with me last night. I mean, it literally broke into pieces at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I landed on my back with my feet in the air. Lucky I didn't hit my head. So ECU staff, you might want to check the quality of some of those black plastic chairs in the handicap section. The last thing you want to do is make a handicapped person more handicapped. Yeah, I had one break with me, did not get hurt. Lucky I didn't get hurt. I could have been hurt. Uh, but as it is, it was just funny. I threw the chair behind me, picked up another folding chair, sat back down, and went back to watching the game. But it could have been bad.
Okay.
Greg, Greg,
Kyle,
Greg laughing at yeah.
I did see that video. There was a video of that hit YouTube last
I
night.
wish there would have been. I wish there would have been, Matt. I wish
I'm
there would.
just kidding.
I wish
Oh
there would have been.
man.
It was great. You know, everybody checked on me except nobody from ECU security or staff must have noticed it because nobody came up there to check on me to see if I was okay. They're going to probably wonder what the hell happened to that chair. But several people around me checked on me. But as it was, it looked bad. Could have been bad, but I was all right.
Hey man, you bounce back quick.
That's right.
You're durable. You
get knocked down, but I get back up again because they're never going to keep me down.
You showed durability last night, right?
That's right. I kept going.
Here's a question from Bill Watson. Thanks for chiming in, Bill. Is it only me that is annoyed by the music so loud and going right up to the snap of the ball? I wasn't at the game because I live so far away. I'll leave that one to you guys.
Not when we're on defense. When we're on, if they're doing that on offense, yes, but not when we're on defense tonight.
Yeah, on third down, and I have no clue. You may, Kyle, or someone viewing and listening tonight may know what the new third down song is, but I thought it was I liked it, Bill. You know, in that third down situation, and there were a couple times, when when App State had things going offensively that I thought the crowd was taken out of it a little too easily, but on the whole, great crowd. 46,117.
Yep. Irving Bennett says, "Amen, Bill." So Irving definitely agrees with Bill. Here's an interesting question from Andy. Why doesn't the media ask Houston tougher questions? For instance, why not ask? Do you plan on
because
you
get blackballed and you won't, and they won't come on your podcast. I mean, they won't do interviews with you anymore.
Guys, we've had that issue here where we, well, I don't know if I want to get into that.
A certain amount of booty kissing is required. Look at Clip. Got pulled from calling games, and to Clip's credit, he addressed that with John Gilbert 1-on-1 the other day on Pirate Radio. So, I'm with you.
Excellent segment.
It was, but highlight of the show. So credit the Clip for that. I agree. I think tougher questions need to be asked to Mike Houston.
Can we get that comment up on the screen, guys? Can we get that comment? All right, thank you.
Yeah, so I think tougher questions need to be asked of Mike Houston and John Gilbert. And I think if all the media members would band together and say, "Hey, we're going to ask the questions we want," there wouldn't be anything they could really do about it. But it would take a concerted effort. I think people are scared of getting blackballed. There's, obviously you want to have good relationships between the head coach and the media, and you want to have good relationships between the AD and the media. We like to have those relationships, and for the most part we do, but they get angry at us, particularly probably me mostly, and for stating our opinions on things. And that's why I want to make it clear when I'm saying things, for henceforth I will, anything overly considered negative I'm going to say, I'm going to make sure it is known that it is my opinion only and does not reflect the thoughts and beliefs necessarily of anybody else on the sports objective. But to answer your question, I think it's twofold. I think one is, they want to have those good relationships. And then I think the other one is they're scared to ask the tough questions because they're scared of being blackballed or, whatever term you want to use.
Yeah. And Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. Listen, I grew up listening to New York sports radio in the New York market where no questions were off limits, and coaches have a very thick skin, and they'll give it back to you. Coaches will give it back to you, and that's fine. A little back and forth is fine, but I do think sometimes there are tougher questions that need to be asked. And listen, players get. I can assure you, after yesterday's game, the players sat down in a film room today for probably 4 hours and went through the film, and a lot of them probably got beat up pretty good for some of the mistakes yesterday. And it's no different. If you're a coach, you need to step in. When you have a press conference, you have the microphone and you field tough questions, and it's part of having a thick skin, and it's part of the job. Like if you're going to coach in the SEC, you think Billy Napier's getting tough questions right now. I guarantee it. So that's just part of the job. I think there's a way to do it with a tact and you're respectful about it. But
Correct.
there's nothing wrong with asking tough questions. And so I'll just kind of leave it at that.
And in my opinion, that question that was posed by one of our viewers, I'm trying to remember who asked it, but as far as Caton Hauser and maybe using him a series, and for the reasons we mentioned,
Going into
just
conference play, yeah, it's our last
yeah,
opportunity for
I mean
conference play.
that, and just if Jake is struggling a bit, just letting him see it from a different perspective, and it doesn't even necessarily have to mean he's struggling. Just, I mean, it wasn't always, most of the time, it was not. David Garrard struggling. It was just a change up and letting him see it from a different perspective, in addition to gaining the backup experience in a meaningful situation and with the game on the line. So yeah, I wouldn't really consider that a tough question.
No, I wouldn't either. And again, I go back to this is the perfect place to do it because after this, you're getting into conference play. So we kind of need to know, hey, maybe Hauser is the better choice. I mean, yeah, they're seeing it in practice every day. They saw it in the scrimmages, but as we all know, ask Patrick Pinckney, it ain't the same until it's game time. And Patrick Pinckney was number 3 on the depth chart and ends up getting his opportunity at Virginia Tech and is our starting quarterback the next 2 years. With apologies to Rob Cass. Remember that. So Hauser last night, Charlotte's third string quarterback came in and brought him back against Gardner Webb. So I think this is the opportunity. Even if Garcia's playing well now, if you go score on 3 straight drives to start the game, you might not want to pull Garcia. But otherwise, I would. I would. This is the game where I would plan on getting Hauser some snaps and let Garcia know going in. Look, unless you're just absolutely red hot, third or fourth series of the half, we're gonna give Hauser the ball. So
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. Like one of the first questions that should be asked in the press conference, and again, very respectful question, but and I would ask this to Coach Houston is, listen, you know, over the years during your tenure here, we've lost a lot of big games as a result of missed field goals, missed extra points, et cetera. We've now had 2 games in a row with a missed extra point. Could have won the game yesterday with a field goal that was missed. What are your thoughts on the kicking game? Are there going to be just a direct question, are there going to be any changes to the kicker this week? It's a fair question. It's a perfectly fair question. And can we get William Landon's comment up? Because that falls in line with what I'm saying here.
Matt, do you have any problem with and Bubba also playing 2 kickers? I mean, if you have a kid that is really accurate on extra points that never miss them, let somebody else kick extra points and letting Conrad handle field goals.
Hey, if that works, and if they make them, then hey, whatever works. Like I'm fine with it. But this missing extra points business is just not. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for anybody. So it's got to be corrected. So
And Houston
Yeah,
did say after that game that is one thing that he did address, and he said Conrad's got to get that fixed. So I would expect there will be a lot of work on the kicking game in practice this week, and maybe competition opened up.
last week the situation with the wind and the upright or goalpost, I gave him certainly the benefit of the doubt, but yesterday and did not get a chance to go back and see this on the film because I was only able to DVR the second half of the game, but yeah, very interested to see, because like Kyle mentioned, Coach Houston referenced this. He said that really Andrew Conrad was fortunate that he didn't get a false start called on him there on that missed PAT.
He'd been better off if he did, and we could have re-kicked it. But and Bubba, just so you know, any games that you want to see the whole game that you didn't DVR are available on the ESPN app. Just search the game and go to on demand.
Yeah, and that's something that, yeah, I certainly have done that in the past. Just forgot about that, and I probably will do that now that you mention it. But another comment here from John White. It says, I think our punter needs to drop balls inside the team, have those chances, short kicks, and pitches, plus 20.
Bub, you're having audio problems
Needs to
right
get
now.
that aspect down.
Yep.
Yeah, Bubba's having some audio issues right now. I think he's being more consistent than he has been in years past. I agree. It would be nice if he could drop it inside the 10 every time, but I don't necessarily have a problem with the way he's punting the ball this year. What is he, 47 now?
Yeah. You say 47?
Yeah.
Say 47.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Sorry. Yeah, 32 and the oldest player in FBS
I honestly thought he was
football.
35.
But yeah, Craig making the American Online jokes again. He said, "You've got mail."
Can we put that little symbol next to Bubba, like
Yeah, the little running man.
the little running man?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've got mail.
I think, yeah, the movie, what with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, correct.
Hey,
Yep.
Yeah.
hey guys,
But
do you know where
yeah,
the guy?
I would expect nothing less from Craig.
Hey guys, do you know where the guy that really quick off the topic, the guy that actually said you got mail lives in Chocowinity of all places, Elwood. I can't remember. I met him a few years ago.
I did not know that. That is a fun fact. I did not know he lived in Chocowinity, but glad to know that you've got mail guy lives in Eastern North Carolina.
Did he copyright that? Like, did he get paid for that, Dave?
He was, I believe, he was working for AOL at the time.
Yeah, he was working for AOL.
Wow.
And it was recorded in analog, if I remember right. And they asked him to re-record it several times, and they just kept going back to the original because people liked it. So anyway,
I'm just kind of going.
Mean to bring the show down. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Bill Watson, with our offensive line being so weak on pass defense, what happened to the quick short passes we used in the first game? I mean,
good question. Very good question.
Yeah, you want to take that one, Kyle?
I don't have an answer to it, but I'm with him. Yeah, quick short passes, get into the playmaker's hands, let them make freaking plays. That's what I keep saying. I mean, we got playmakers. Garcia's strength to throw the deep ball. Either throw the damn deep ball with him, or distribute the ball. And if he can't put touch on the ball, and he did it in the first game, so he can. But I'm with you. Quick passing game, get it into playmaker's hands, let them get some yards after the catch.
Yeah, and I think I was talking about this with Bubba today, that I really like. Again, I've said this 10 times tonight, but getting Winston Wright the ball. I'd like to see more wide receiver screens with Winston Wright. And, I would pair him on one side of the field with Casey Kelly. Casey Kelly is a bigger body who can block, right? He can kind of pave the way a little bit. And let's get the ball. Hey, look, when you're pounding the rock inside, right? A great way to open up the defense is to work horizontally. you stretch the field horizontally and vertically, and that creates lanes in the running game. So I'm all for it. Short, quick passes, get the ball in your playmaker's hands, let them work.
No doubt. I think that would probably be right now the easiest way to move the ball. And you don't want to talk about cutting down on turnovers. That also gives you the ability, to make safe throws. So I don't know. It's a good question. That was a good one. Who asked that?
That was Bill Watson. Thank you,
Good,
Bill.
good question, Bill. Bob, do you have any comments on that playing quarterback? Bubba maybe still be having. Okay, there we go.
I stepped away for a moment. What was the
But
question?
why haven't we been utilizing the quick passing game like we did in the first game against Norfolk State more, and letting our
Well,
players get yards after the catch?
I know yesterday at times, at least we were getting a press look, but there were, as folks are mentioning, opportunities there on other occasions, when where there were some soft coverage there, where we could have taken advantage of it. I know there were times where we did throw it, and we maybe didn't stay on a block. A couple occasions I held my breath when the ball was thrown because I saw a defender sliding off a block, and you were just hoping that it wasn't going to be a pick.
Yeah. So, but with the quick passing game, that means the offensive line doesn't have to hold their blocks as long. So I think it was a good question and something I'd like to see us utilize more.
Yeah, get the
Because
ball out
we got
quick.
guys that can make plays after the catch.
Absolutely.
The yak yards.
And Craig says, do we have any completions to tight end?
Yeah, Bubba did.
Four.
Yes, yeah.
A couple times.
We had a big catch by
Kelly had 4 receptions. Yeah.
yeah, and one of them was huge by Kelly.
4 for 39 for Casey Kelly.
I think Bubba's cutting out. You guys
Yeah,
losing
but
Bubba? So I think what Bubba was
Hello.
going to say. But I
Bubba's
think
back.
Bubba, yeah,
All right.
you cutting out.
So it's just this feature on StreamYard. Sometimes when you minimize it to use another app, then the audio will drop. But so yeah, you had at least 4 catches for Casey Kelly, and I think perhaps another target or 2. And then you had Desirio Riles, who had the 2 touchdown receptions in the opener against Norfolk State. And he had at least 1 target, and it was thrown behind him across the middle. I think he got his hand on it, and he could have made the catch, but it certainly was not an easy catch. And I think last week he had 1 or 2 targets up at Old Dominion, and nothing that I recall for Tyler Savage.
Yeah. I like to see Casey Kelly 5 to 7 catches every week. Here's a great point. And from Andy Gross. Also, it seems we abandoned a quarterback run, basically no RPO. And I'm kind of going rapid fire questions here, guys, because I want to try and get a lot of these in. But I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think when you look back at Ole Miss, where this offense originated from, where they've had a lot of success over the years is running the quarterback. You think back to some of those Ole Miss teams, really great playmakers at quarterback, and they would run those QBs quite a bit. So I think when you and this has always been kind of a issue for me here with ECU. I thought when Holton was here, I thought we should have run Holton a lot more read option with Holton because he was really effective doing that. And I think the ability when you show quarterback run occasionally, when a quarterback just pulls it, just by showing that, it could be once a quarter, it helps keep the defense off balance. So
Garfield, there was a play yesterday in that game. It was a 3rd down, like a 3rd and 6, where if we ended up punting. If he would have pulled it down, I think he would have picked up the 1st down. It makes me wonder. Garcia,
Yep.
after the first game against Norfolk State, that was one thing that was addressed, was they wanted Garcia to take care of his body more after that game, which again makes me wonder: is the Hauser injury to his wrist worse than they're letting on?
It's a good question. That's a good question.
So, you also got anything else?
We had one more comment there from Johnny. All right, Pro Football Focus graded
Just
the
saying
Pirates.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Bubba, it just cut out. I didn't graded Pirates pass blocking at 59.6 against App. We were 84.9 versus Norfolk, not to be confused with Norfolk State. So, yeah, that's not good. Not good at all.
No, it's not. It's a bit concerning.
Bubba, how do you say it?
Norfolk. And but yes, the Pirates surrendered 3 sacks against Old Dominion, 3 sacks yesterday against App State, and in just a moment, we'll get to these comments as we come to them. I was just going to finish talking about this one, but yes, the pass pro has to be better. 6 sacks surrendered in the last 2 games, and it's certainly not all on the offensive line, but and it's a team effort. And
It goes back to the earlier statement about the quick passing game.
yeah, and Monica made a point that I was going to chime in and make. Because this is where I thought Kyle was going with this when he brought up a 3rd and 5 or 6 scenario where he thought Jake Garcia could have run for the first down. Monica said, and once he slid well before the first down mark.
Oh yes, he did.
Yeah, it was a 3rd down situation. I was like, why did you slide right there?
Because he's being overcoached to protect his body.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I told my dad. I said so much was made of him sliding right there, and that's one of those times that you absolutely do not slide. And, second half of the game, if I'm not mistaken, pretty sure that was maybe even I may be mistaken on that. Do you recall, Kyle? Was that? I want to say we were driving toward the Murphy Center, so it was either the second quarter or the fourth quarter.
I don't remember. I remember the play. I don't remember what point of the game it happened. Perhaps Monica does, but
Yeah,
that look
it's
again.
between the 40s, if I'm not mistaken.
That again makes me wonder, since after that first game, he has been coached so much to take care of his body better. It again makes me wonder: is Hauser's wrist injury worse than they're letting on? I don't know why that needs to be kept a secret. If it is, let us know, and that'll shut up people saying, "Hey, put in Hauser." But it does make me
Thank you,
wonder.
Monica. It was
And
quarter.
yeah, and I always say this anyway. If you're going to pull a quarterback one of his strengths away, then don't play him. You're taking away one of his weapons. You don't want to get him injured, but you know, he's a football player. Garcia's a big boy. He's a hell of an athlete. He looks great. He's not some little small guy back there. Yes, you want him to minimalize hits, but don't overcoach him to slide so damn much, to take care of his body so much that he's scared to go out there and make a play with his legs. So yeah, they need to pull back on that.
And yeah, fair question there by Bill Watson. This is one that I heard quite a bit yesterday and post game. Has Garcia's interception problem made him less effective of a gunslinger, or made him less of a gunslinger and therefore less effective? Due to going too much in the other direction there, being too cautious. I could see that, a time or two yesterday, when he was maybe a little hesitant. On the whole, I don't think it was so much that as it was just a better opponent. And then, he did on at least 2 or 3 occasions do a good job of throwing it away, be it out of bounds or well short of the defender in a receiver's direction to not take a sack and the ground and
Yeah, I thought there were a few
because
plays
it was an occasion where he was within the pocket. So, sorry, Matt.
Oh no, that's all right. It's cut out. I thought you were done. There were a few plays yesterday where I thought he maybe he was feeling that pressure a little bit, not to fit it in. Like there was one play, I think it was a 3rd and 7, and we threw it was into the boundary, and he checked down to the running back, and it was like 4 yards short of the sticks, and he just basically got knocked out of bounds. And I don't know if you guys remember
Yeah,
that
I know the
play.
play you're talking about there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it was frustrating because it's like, hey, you know, you got to have a first down there. You know, you can't throw the ball 4 yards short of the sticks. But listen, yeah, see, Craig's saying the same thing. Yep, that
Yeah,
play drove
it
me
was
crazy.
3rd and 3, and he checked it down to Rajay for no gain.
Yes, I remember that.
That one, I was oh my gosh.
Yeah, my
Wrong
dad
time to check
almost fell out
down.
of his chair watching that game. But I think that might have been one where he was a little nervous to try to fit it in.
Pull it down and run it.
Yeah.
I mean, throwing it for no gain ain't going to get you the first down. And Raji was in no position to pick up yards after the catch there. So, terrible decision there. That was in the fourth quarter too, I believe.
Yeah.
So, all right, the comments coming in fast and furious, guys. We got anything else? We're ready to wrap this up.
I want to talk all night.
All right. Well, I don't. We've been up here 2 hours, so we're going to go ahead and do like you should do when you were with a new young lady in college. We're going to wrap it up.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Great show as always. Thanks for everybody. We're actually back in North Carolina finally, back from the Commanders game, getting back from there. But thanks for all the viewers and listeners tonight. And we'll have the preview this week as Pirates on the Road to Liberty. If you're going to Liberty, please be safe this week. Until next time, you've been watching the Pirate Football Playback on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. And as always, go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.